Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of 10 for the Chairman. For those of you that don't know, 10 for the Chairman is where I take 10 questions from the subscribers that are part of our community and answer them the best I can. The subscribers are a subset of the overall community that are generously putting up extra money every month to enable us to do a higher degree of sort of community feedback communication, allowing us to do something like this, Wing Wing's Hangar and some new shows that we've got up and coming, Jump Point, and some fun stuff we're doing actually in the digital hangars of subscribers, just for fun. But essentially, it allows us to do a higher degree of community content. So thank you very much to subscribers for allowing us to do that. Let's get on to the questions, shall we? So the first question comes from Shrike, who asks, have a question regarding hangar use. My friends and I have a small organization, and we were wondering if we could use each other's hangars once they are placed in the game. I.e., when on Terra, we would all use Bob's hangar, and when on Corel, we would use Frank's. Or are org hangars the only way? That is a good question. The way that the game is conceptually set up at the moment is that you have your own hangar, and that any shared hangar would have to be a organization shared hangar. Although there's no reason why Bob and Frank couldn't have the Bob and Frank organization and have a hangar on 2 locations, and they could use them in 2 locations. But I don't think we're going to really let you have other people be in your hangar, because your hangar is sort of like your personal, house or identity or whatever. So currently in the design, to have a shared hangar, it would have to be an organization hangar. Okay, next question comes from Adrunial, who asks, how will racing work with G-force? Will the recent reveal the ability to fade out or black out from too many Gs? Will we have to fly our fast racing ship slower, or will there be some kind of system in place to prevent excessive G-force? Well, there already is. I mean, there's a whole bunch of sort of different systems that run on the intelligent flight control system that allows you to, we have something that we call nanny mode internally here. I think we're calling it G-safe or something, where the flight control system will ensure that you're not, when you start to pull too many Gs, it will back off in your velocity, so the Gs will be, your turn will still be fast, your turn rate will still be high, but your actual rate of speed will slow down, so you don't pull too many Gs. And then we got a couple of the other modes, which we had, ComStab, which we talked about, which is sort of control stabilization, which is kind of a little like traction control in space. So they're all there. So it's sort of kind of up to you as a racer, really. So, if you put the safety modes on, you won't be able to push the edge as much. So I would expect that the harder core racers would really sort of push the edge, maybe get ConStab off and the sort of G-safe off, and really push it. So they try to ride the edge of not quite blacking out and also sliding around things. Like if you ever see a real professional racer on a road course, they're always sort of using drift and everything as they're coming around turns and stuff. And that we're definitely going to have all that in our racing in space. And you could see it. We did a video update a couple of weeks ago that showed some of the different modes and the drift and everything. So I think that'll actually be quite fun for racing and make it cool. Next question comes from Stoof, who asks, I watched Return of the Jedi the other night and thought to myself how cool it would be to have some friends planetside taking out a shield generator while some other friends are taking care of business in space. Will Star Citizen contain these kind of missions? So I don't know about planetside to space, but there'll definitely be sort of the equivalent missions that will be sort of shipboard to space. So there'll be cases where you want to take over another ship, and you'll have some friends out there in fighters, and they've got to clear out the enemy fighter cover and take out the AA guns that would be sort of defending the bigger ship, and then the other friends can go in a boarding ship, breach the hull, and go in and start doing first-person combat once the sort of airspace or the space, I guess the space has been sort of secured. So that's sort of a combined arms mission where you've got people sort of on the ground, but in this case on the ground is boarding it to take over the mission, and people up in the air, which is doing air cover and doing sort of like suppression of the defense systems of the ship that you're going after. So that'd be cool. Planetside I'm not so sure about, because that's not necessarily going to be concurrent sort of in an instance. You don't have an instance that runs at the same time that's planetside in space. But you never know what we may do in the future, but currently that wouldn't be part of the plan. But it is a cool idea. Okay, next question comes from Cinder Z, who asks, what is your stance on mods that would be client-side only in the persistent universe, like T-Morph add-on for World of Warcraft, where it allows you to look like any race, gender, gear setup, etc.? I know that these mods can be used to abuse certain loopholes in coding with a game, but I'm still curious if something like this would be allowed or considered as a bannable offense in either case of being used for fun or attempting to abuse the game. I mean, our sort of opinion on it would be all to do with whether you are trying to cheat or circumvent the game. So anything that you're doing to give you an advantage against other players that's unfair because you've modified the code or anything like that would definitely be a sort of bannable offense. But if you just did something cosmetic that would only be client-side and had no effect on the persistent universe, the gameplay or anything like that, if we found it, we probably would be, okay, that's fine. It's really just sort of like what you're doing and what your intent is. I mean, having said that, we're also, hoping or planning, I mean, that's what we're working on, the tech right now, is to have some of this stuff like, be able to change your look and view with various morphs and all the rest of stuff. But so I guess that would all depend, the answer would be on the situation and the use of the mod. Okay, next question. Xander9 asks, Chris, some months ago, CIG mentioned a technology collaboration with Warhorse Games, makers of the Kickstarter Kingdom Come Deliverance. Can you give us an update on what CIG and Warhorse are learning from each other and how complementary tech will enhance both games? Okay, good question, and that does actually fall into what I was talking about with the morph stuff with Cinder Z's question. So, specifically with the Warhorse stuff, they've got some very nice tech for how like all their NPCs wear different outfits and clothes. They got some sort of pre-computed morph stuff that like takes the shirt and fits it to the body, and then the sort of chest plate, if they have armor, goes on top of that. And so we're looking at using that to make our sort of character modification pipeline smoother. I think we've talked to them. We've got some enhancements to the attachment system in CryEngine, which is a bit technical, but that's how you attach different things to like a character or a body, and we just have a much more extendable and robust system than the default CryEngine, so we've talked about getting that. And then we're doing some information and idea swapping on the AI, which is also really impressive with the Warhorse guys. So we've been pretty busy with dogfighting, so this hasn't moved as quickly as I would have liked, because we had to sort out the legal documents to make sure that we all were protecting each other's IP, but we're ready to do that. And so we're, in fact, we're in meetings and talking about all that stuff right now with Warhorse. So we'll be going to one a little later on today. Okay, so there you go. Next question comes from Agina, who asks, Chris, after a year of subscribing, we get our name in the game. Will we be able to search through a database and find it? Or we could potentially play this game for years without finding it? Well, I guess it depends on where you adventure in space. But no, we've got a pretty cool and obvious place that we think that for everyone's name. So I guess it's not necessarily going to be something that'll be that hidden. You'll just have to go and visit it, and it's in a pretty important area and monument. So I think it's kind of up to you whether you want to play for years without finding it, because you could play it and go and see your name right away, or not. It's really just a matter of traveling to a location, which I'll let you guess what it would be. Okay, so Miskatonic asks, if a player has several ships, including a cutlass, on one character slot, will the player be able to select whether to use the asteroid hangar as opposed to one of the other starting hangars? If so, with all the ships that fit in the deluxe hangar also fit in the asteroid hangar? All the ships that do fit in a deluxe hangar will fit in the asteroid hangar, so we'll just get that out of the way right away. In terms of whether you get to use an asteroid hangar or one of the other hangars, I think our plan was if you have the cutlass, we sort of default you to the asteroid hangar. But I don't know, there's some ongoing discussions about allowing you to sort of switch between different hangars if you'd rather be in a deluxe hangar versus an asteroid hangar, but we haven't made a full choice on that yet. So that's still in the debate consideration, but definitely anything that fits in a deluxe hangar can fit in the asteroid hangar. Okay, next question comes from SPC Mark, who asks, how will you be able to get your citizenship if you opt out of Squadron 42? Okay, so citizenship isn't just about military service, although that's one of the easy ways to do it. So there's there's a couple of ways to get citizenship. One, you can buy your way in, which is sort of like the old Roman way, where a lot of people would buy their way to Roman citizenship, and that would really just require you sort of making a lot of money, being a trader, whatever, and then you could sort of buy your way in to be a citizen. And then the other way to become a citizen would be to sort of perform jobs or missions that sort of increase your like civic or citizen status. And so if you've done enough of that, sort of almost like public service kind of stuff, taking jobs for the UEE, all that kind of stuff, that will add to points that will at a certain level you are granted citizenship. So there are other ways to do it outside of Squadron 42. Blasny asks, with ranked ladder play announced for Arena Commander, do you plan to balance the ships in Arena Commander separately from the persistent universe? So as an example, a Hornet used for ranked arena play would be more strictly controlled balance-wise than the PU Hornets. So that's a good question. I mean, so our concept with Arena Commander is actually allowing us to sort of balance these ships to a certain level. We're not expecting that every one of the ships is going to be exactly equal, although we're going to try and give them all their own sort of like quirks for Arena Commander. So, for instance, a good illustration is, the Hornet, right, which is probably the sort of most expensive and heavily armed of the ships that you can fly. The dogfight module is it's a big weapons platform. It's strong. It takes a lot of damage, but comparatively to a 300i, the 300i is going to feel sort of a little lighter, a little nimbler, maybe a little more maneuverable even, because it's not such a heavily armored weapons platform. But it can't take nearly as much damage and can't like dish out quite as much in sort of its max stuff. So I think in some cases that will be like just a personal play choice. So we're going to try and use Arena Commander to balance for the Persistent Universe. Obviously the Persistent Universe has a lot more issues, but the base balancing in terms of this weapon against that weapon, this ship against that ship, will be kind of in Arena Commander. And don't forget, we handicap the ships, right? So we don't expect if you take out a Hornet with an Aurora, you're going to get a lot more points than if you take out a Aurora with a Hornet, basically. And so, I don't know, think about it like golf, right? They handicap golf. So we're going to try and use Arena Commander to help balance the PU, or at least be the starting discussion for that. But the one last thing I'll say is, in Arena Commander, there is the loadouts for the base ships are a sort of default dogfight loadout that we've got right now. Later in the process, V1.1 onwards, we're going to sort of allow you to customize your loadouts and put different weapons on, and I think that will be fun. It'll be interesting to see what people use, and if and then we can sort of be tweaking the different weapons for the different effects, and that's the whole point of having you guys do it. I think we'll get a really great sense of like balancing and what's fun. Okay, last question comes from Apple Crow, who asks, we know there will be a rep system for our own characters. Will orgs also have a rep as well? Yes, organizations will also have reputation in terms of like how they have a reputation with other organizations. And in fact, that's kind of the general reputation system, right? So even your own character, like your reputations are all based on your reputations with other organizations. And so organizations will have inter-org reputation, and then players will have reputations back and forth with different organizations. Okay, so that brings us to the close of another 10 for the Chairman episode. Thank you all for listening. Thank you very much to the backers out there that have backed us to the incredible amounts that we've achieved, allowing us to make this game at a level much sooner than, to a scale much sooner than I thought was possible before. And we're having a great time. I mean, it's a lot of work, but we're having a great time. And thank you to the subscribers for kicking in the extra money to allow us to film this kind of stuff, do other community content, and you're all great. And I'll talk to you next week. Bye.